afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Harris, and I am a graduate of Leadership San Antonio Class 39. We are thrilled that you've been able to join us today for the inaugural Leadership San Antonio Applicant Information Session. Your attendance today highlights your interest in not just LSA, but also in service to our community. So we thank you for that and look forward to your engagement. We want to ensure this session has an open dialogue, so we encourage you to put your questions about LSA or the application process itself into the chat box. We may not have time to get to all the questions, but if for some reason we can't, you will receive a follow-up email with a response. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm very pleased to introduce the co-chairs for the 46th class of Leadership San Antonio, Anne Marie Grube and Stacy Larson. Anne Marie is a graduate of Class 40, and Stacy is a graduate of Class 38. We've got a lot of ground to cover today and not a lot of time, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. Anne Marie, Stacy, I think one of the things that makes LSA so unique is that each class is so varied because it's driven by different co-chairs and their leadership styles. So can you both share your vision for LSA 46 and what a class member can expect?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Thank you first, Ashley, for moderating today, and thank you for the introduction. Anne Marie and I are the co-chairs for LSA 46, and we are just so glad and so grateful that you all are here to learn more about Leadership San Antonio. You know, this program has been in place for over 45 years. And from the beginning, it has been focused on bringing leaders together who are seeking to find and develop the potential that exists in our city. And from our experience, having gone through the program, Anne Marie and I believe that the most impactful and consequential learning comes from our relationships with other people. And we believe that the collective learning and the intelligence is really at its highest when there is equitable sharing and participation from people who have wide-ranging interests, backgrounds, and experiences. And so our goal for LSA 46 is to welcome leaders from across the city to be in powerful conversations with one another, to deeply understand the disparities and the challenges in our community, and then through those relationships to harness our collective resources that will develop solutions to have an enduring impact. And so that's really our hope for this coming year.
Thank you, Stacy. As mentioned, I'm Anne Marie Grube, I'm co-chair. Leadership San Antonio is a joint program, so with the support of the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Today will be informational, and we hope to be able to answer questions that you may have. And if, as you think of applying, application deadline is October 18th. And for the candidates that do make the in-person interview, this will take place on November 17th. And the final 50 classmates will be notified at the end of November. Class 46, 2022, will begin in January. And as usual, it's a year-long program and will come together one day a month. The specific dates and more information you can find in leadershipsa.org. But we really hope that you know that you are thinking of applying. That's why you're here today, and that you will be part of this class. As Ashley mentioned, questions in the chat we will answer later, Stacy and I. So Ashley, take it on.
Thank you so much. So one of the legacies of LSA is the very distinguished alumni that we have. And I'm so honored and thrilled to be joined today by two of the program's finest graduates, Hope Andrade and Jeff Arndt. Hope is a member of Leadership San Antonio Class 17. She is the past chairwoman of VIA, chair of Alamo Trust, a partner in Go Rio Enterprises, and also a partner with Andrade Vandepute, a strategic advising firm. She is also the longest serving Secretary of State in Texas, and she was the first Latina in Texas to hold that position. I can't begin to list the number of awards she has received over the years because, believe me, we'd be here all night long, but they include the Women's Hall of Fame and the Business Hall of Fame. Jeff Arndt is a member of Leadership San Antonio Class 38 and is the president and CEO of VIA Metropolitan Transit. He has spent more than 40 years in public transportation with a focus on livability and sustainability for the communities he serves. During his tenure at VIA, he introduced compressed natural gas buses, introduced free Wi-Fi on buses, which I personally love, and successfully piloted the Mobility on Demand service, among many other accomplishments. Just as with Hope, I can't list all of the organizations Jeff shares his experience with, or we'd be here all night long, but they include the Texas Diversity Council and the American Public Transportation Association. Hope and Jeff, let me start off by asking you both, what does LSA mean to you?
Jeff, you want me to jump in? First of all, Ashley, thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you also for letting people know what class I graduated from, class 17. I don't often mention that because they just look at me like, oh my God, class 17, 30 years ago. But I think that's proof of my commitment to the LSA program. You know, when I started, I was a small business owner. I wasn't involved in the community. I was just too busy running a business and raising a child and being a good wife. So anyway, but I joined the program at the encouragement of the chamber. And I will tell you that it truly placed me on the path to where I am today. I learned about my city. I learned its needs. I learned all the great things it was doing. I got to know about the not-for-profit organizations that do so much in our community. I made great friends. And I learned that we didn't have to not necessarily agree, but I learned why they were in a certain position or they were taking a certain position on an issue. And it taught us all to work together, to listen, to respect, and at the end of the day, work together. And I will tell you that I am grateful. You know, LSA is one of those items that you have on your list of what made you successful. And I can certainly tell you that LSA is on the very top of my list.
All right. So, Hope, first of all, we all know how well you are able to work collaboratively with people of varying aspects. And I want to suggest that Congress could use someone like you right now. So I'll just start out with, I used for about 4 years, I would tell people every morning I start with the prayer. Today is the day the Lord has made. Hope Andrade is my board chair. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Wow,
well,
sweet.
Hope termed out. She served as very long as she could to the day. We were counting days for her last term. So today I go, today's the day the Lord has made, and Hope Andrade is my forever friend. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And that's part of the whole LSA experience. So I would share with you that I was only in San Antonio. I wasn't even in San Antonio a full year when I started LSA. I happened to know both the co-chairs, and they encouraged me to apply. And I kept saying, well, I haven't been here that long. And no, you need to apply. You need to apply. So I consider LSA as my incubator and my baptizer into all world San Antonio. And I can tell you that now, having spent a decade here, I truly believe this is the finest city in America. I really believe that. And I think through SA, you'll learn more about the city than you know right now in all likelihood. You'll have strong relationships, first of all, within your class. And then afterwards, you can join the Alumni Association. And I've created a lot of relationships with alumni. You'll get a really broad perspective of the variety of issues the city faces. I think in my day-to-day, for example, I'm primarily focused on transportation, right? And I think LSA helped broaden my view of what transportation means and how it touches other areas of the city. And then lastly, I would tell anybody who wants to apply that it is fun. And we forget that sometimes. Yes, we're going to learn all these things. It is fun. And don't you deserve a day of fun every month at least? So you need to be looking at this.
Thank you so much. I can't agree with you more. I remember in my opening reception, the presidency of the Hispanic Chamber got up and said, you are going to develop some of your best friends in this class. And I remember I rolled my eyes. I was like, I have plenty of best friends. I don't need any more, and I'm not going to make any more. But I will tell you, you absolutely make some of your lifelong and dearest friends through Leadership San Antonio. And Jeff, to your point, I think one thing that LSA brings is I don't go anywhere now without knowing someone. And it's typically through, I introduced them. They were either, I met them through LSA, or they're a friend of someone that I met through LSA. So LSA really does just, it's amazing the doors that they open for you. So the next question I have for you both is, how have you seen the program evolve over the years?
Hope, I'll start with that because I haven't had as many years to see it evolve. How's
Okay.
that? Pardon me. I think the biggest evolution I've seen in the program is the focus on service and actual service projects. It's not just all about learning and getting to visit and see neat things and see how they train dogs to work in the military and all those things, but there's a purpose in the end. And I think LSA today really provides a great and more focused opportunity for the participants to find their passion if they're looking for it, or find how they can use the passion they have, maybe in a way that they didn't know. So to me, that is the biggest change between 38, no other class will be as great, and today.
Thank you, Jeff. You know, Ashley, I will tell you that one of the things that I'm very proud of the program is that it deals with current issues, and your visits, your day. You know, each committee has a day that they plan. You do those in person, and I still remember when I visited one of the not-for-profits that I actually joined immediately after I graduated from LSA, and that was Avance. And I walked in and we heard about their program, and there was a child there that just kept staring at me. And I looked at her and I felt like saying, I'll be back. I'll be back and I'm going to help. And so I think it's not until you can hear a lot about programs, you can hear a lot about what everybody's doing, but when you go in person and you visit those places, it's totally different experience. I go back to the fact that I did find my purpose and I did find my mission, and that was giving back to this amazing community that has given us so much. And so I'm committed to making sure, and I think all of us that go through the program, once we feel and see the success and the way we work together, is that we all feel like we have a responsibility to making sure that we have this city provide as many opportunities as it provided us. And so we just want to pay, I mean, I hate to say this, like it ages me, or we just want to pay it forward so that everybody gets to enjoy what we are able to enjoy, this beautiful quality of life here in San Antonio. The other thing is, like Jeff has mentioned, the friendships. I mean, think about all the projects that we all work on, all the fundraising that we do, all the volunteerism we do. Guess who we pick up the phone and call? Is one of our LSA friends, and say, hey, we've got a fundraiser going on. We've got a golf tournament going on. We've got whatever it is. And you know what? They show up. And those are the kind of friendships that we can depend on for a lifetime. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the closing retreat at LSA Saturday, and Sunday I was having brunch with one of my classmates 30 years ago.
That's so awesome. And I want to reiterate that I think that's such a key component of LSA is that alumni network. I know that if I get a random call from someone that I don't know, I may or may not return it, to be honest. But if they say I'm LSA class whatever, I'm returning that phone call. Regardless of who they are, what they're calling about, I'm returning that phone call. It's such a great point.
I'm glad to learn that, Ashley.
Well, I won't return your call, Jeff. No,
Oh, okay.
Okay, so moving on to our next question. Now that you're several years out of the program, what do you recommend applicants need to do?
Hope.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
I think a commitment. I was a small business owner, and I will tell you, it was difficult for me to give up my Wednesdays all day. And so sometimes the night before, I'd make all kinds of excuses as to why I couldn't attend. But then the morning I'd wake up and I'd think back on what I was learning and how much I was gaining from it. And I would say, I have to. So commitment, I know it's different sometimes it's, it's one of the most precious things we have, but it is absolutely worth it. Take it seriously. This is a program that you two hopefully will put it on your list of reasons for why you do what you do after this. It is just, it's like being in a classroom of experts that really know their subject.
I'll pick up on what Hope said. I think that if you're considering applying and you're concerned about the time, and I understand that, I think you need to reflect on the fact that you're investing in yourself and you're investing in the future of San Antonio. And aren't both of those, each of those, I should say, aren't each of those meriting 1 day a month for a year? I think I don't think anybody could say, oh, no, I don't need to develop myself and I don't need to help San Antonio. If you think that, then I would not recommend applying. I'll just say that. The other thing is, there's so many interesting lessons you learn in LSA. One of the things I learned that was that, of course, you're going to see your class and all these people you're going to hear from today are highly type A's. And often in our work environment, we have a mix of A's and B's. And if you're a type A, you walk into the room and you kind of, take charge and get things done and convince people what to do. Now, when you walk into a room full of type A's, it's quite different because everybody has their position. And so you're going to learn, if you will, I think, how to listen to others, as Hope said before, listen to others, collaborate, understand different perspectives, because you're not going to get a free pass of people that are just going to sit back and go, well, yeah, whatever you want. That doesn't happen. And so you need to both be prepared for that, but you should also be proud of yourself as a member of LSA that you are in that position with those people.
Yeah. And if I can add one more thing, Ashley, for those that are introverts, I still am an introvert, but I was much a bigger introvert when I first started the class. And you're not alone. Everyone is so welcoming. Chamber staff is so supportive. I mean, I'm telling you, I would sit in back of the room praying that nobody would ask me a question. And staff could recognize that and they'd hold my hand and bring me up to the front row. And slowly I started learning that it was okay to have an opinion because everyone else did. And if people respect your opinion, that you didn't get criticized for your opinion. So it's a great place to grow and make so many friends, and you're not alone. You've got support. You've got your co-chairs that are just amazing. And all I can say is you won't regret it, because 30 years later, I'm still pushing for this program because it's such a great program.
Those are such great comments. Thank you so much. Before we head over to the alumni panel, I want to ask if either you, Hope, or you, Jeff, have any closing remarks.
Sure. I would like to, first of all, tell everybody what they tell you about the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. You need to apply if you want to be part of this. If you don't want to be part of this, I would be surprised, frankly. I would say that LSA, when I look at the last 10 years here in San Antonio, they have been so awesome. The realization of so many life dreams. And I consider LSA having been a big launching point for that. It can transform your life and what you do in the future, and it can transform the community and what the city is in the future. I do have to add that a second point of really making the past 10 years such a joy is having worked with Hope Andrade.
Thank you, Jeff.
So I'll hand it over to you, Hope.
Thank you. One of the things that I'd like to make sure that everyone do is that if you don't get in the first time, don't give up. I have friends that tried several times, and it's great to know that the program is there's so much interest in it. So isn't it wonderful to be part of a program that there's so much interest in it, that it's competitive? But that doesn't mean that if you don't get in the first time, don't give up. You will get in. And I'll tell you, it'll be worth it, well worth it.
Thank you so much, both of you, for those incredible and awesome comments and everything you do for our community and our city. And I just want to completely reiterate what you just said, Hope, and I'm going to raise my hand on this and say, I actually applied to LSA and did not get in my first application. And I was disheartened and I said, I'm never applying again, ever. And then I went back the next year, 2 years after that, and applied again. And I cannot reiterate enough, the class you get in is the class you are supposed to be in. It's just somehow the universe works out. And okay, you didn't get in class 37, Ashley, but I applied for 39. And I promise you, with everything I am, that is the class I was intended to be in. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. So thank you, Hope, for mentioning that. I think that's so important to reiterate. We're going to go ahead and move on now. Thank you both again, Hope and Jeff, for your comments. We're going to go ahead now and shift on over to our alumni panel. And I'm so thrilled that we have a very distinguished alumni panel joining us today. We have Romanita Mata Barrera, we have Juan Cano, Robert Melvin, and Angela McClendon Johnson. Angela is a member of Leadership San Antonio Class 30 and served on the steering committees for Class 35 and Class 39. She made history as the first Black female chair of Leadership San Antonio for Class 41. Romanita Mata Barrera is an alumnus of Class 39, best class ever, just saying. She is the Chief Workforce Officer of Greater SATX and serves on the board of Texas A&M and Texas A&M University San Antonio Foundation, and previously served as a commissioner for the State of Texas Library and Archives Commissioner. Juan Cano is a graduate of LSA Class 43 and is the chair of the Leadership San Antonio Alumni Association. He is an entrepreneur, CEO, management consultant in both the public and private sectors. He served on the CPS Energy Citizens Advisory Committee and is the mayor's and on the mayor's Housing Policy Task Force. Robert Melvin is a graduate of Leadership San Antonio Class 41 and actually is serving on the steering committee for Class 46. Woohoo! And he is the CEO of Limitless Creations. We are so thrilled that all of you were able to join us here today, and we can't thank you enough for your time. So let's go ahead and get started. Angela, let me address this first question to you. What do you think makes a strong LSA candidate?
Thank you for that introduction, Ashley, and thank you for moderating. Gosh, you know, it is such a great program. I think there's really three things that make a strong candidate. Hope mentioned this before about commitment to learning, commitment to contributing, commitment to showing up. Also, just your time, the time to plan, the time to really get to know your network, the people that are in your class. And then also your treasure, giving of yourself, also your skills, your background, your experience, bringing that all to the table makes an ideal LSA candidate for sure, in my eyes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Juan, let's go ahead and jump over to you if we can. Can you describe the LSA application process? I know we've gotten a lot of questions about tips for letters of recommendation, but what are, in addition to that, what are some other tips that you can recommend?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to reiterate the application deadline's October 18th. Is that at midnight or at what time? So October 18th at midnight is your deadline for this application process. So I would recommend you not wait till 11:58 p.m. to do so, but they do look at that deadline. The application process is very well spelled out within the website in terms of the eligibility criteria. You have to live in San Antonio for minimum 1 year. You have to be a member of either one of the chambers of commerce. So the Hispanic Chamber, the Greater Chamber. If not, you have to think 30 days from application to from being accepted to apply to one of those chambers of commerce, or both, if you want. And I would say, in terms of letters of recommendation, to me, Leadership San Antonio, yes, has some leadership development component to it, but to me, Leadership San Antonio is really about connecting really awesome people that are already doing a lot within their independent industries and connecting them to other people that are doing great things. and then showing you what issues are going on in the community, right? The good stuff, the bad stuff, the things that need champions, and hopefully something in one of those 12 class days that you guys have over the coming year will speak to you and will give you some sort of inspiration to volunteer on a board or get involved in some other way. Maybe you find a pivot for your company or even a career change. You might find your future business partner, your future nonprofit, partner as well. So as you're looking at letters of recommendation, I would say you want somebody to write one of your letters of recommendation that really knows you from a professional standpoint. They know the things that you've done really great within that professional realm. But you also want somebody that knows you, maybe a mentor or somebody that knows you as a well-rounded human being, right? I don't think people want to know that you're on the Boys and Girls Club board. They want to know what you've done for the Boys and Girls Club. They want to know what you've done for the community to really show not just a commitment to being involved in extracurriculars, but a commitment to making your community better in whatever way that is, right? For some folks, that's education. For other folks, that's supporting small business and manufacturers, right? So whatever that is, but showing really a real passion and kind of compassion for something within the community that's more than just professional. Everybody here has incredible resumes, so that alone is not going to be enough to get you into LSA.
Thank you so much. Those are great comments and great insight. Romanita, how would you describe the value of LSA versus the cost of tuition? And, one of the questions we get is, how can I convince my employer that this is a value, that this is worth the expense, not only, the monetary expense, but also the commitment of their time and resources?
Thank you for that, Ashley. And again, if you're not already inspired by folks like Jeff and Hope and the great things that they've done in our community, and if your bosses can't support you on that, then I would rethink where you're at as well. But I know I actually came to LSA as a consultant. So I decided, I think very much like Hope was a small business owner, I was a consultant that I needed and wanted to invest of my time and my treasure. And it was significant, right? When you're doing consulting work on your own. But I would say for an individual who's coming through sponsorship through your organization, they would really need to see this as an opportunity for their return on investment on you, right? The best thing that any organization, no matter what size, can do is invest in their people, human capital, and they are going to see the return on investment through an individual that first and foremost, you are going to leave LSA better networked. It's clearly obvious through just this group of individuals here, from our former Secretary of State to, phenomenal individual like Jeff, who leads, transportation mobility for the city of San Antonio, Angela, Ashley, Juan, you name it. You will be leaving better networked, but I also have to say you're going to be leaving better informed and more empowered as an individual to really go back to your organizations, to be a big thinker, because LSA is really going to empower you, but seeing beyond whatever organization, small, nonprofit, private sector that you're representing. It's going to really open your eyes to the bigger things that are happening in our community and how maybe your organization can champion some of those issues that may need really, complex solutions. You're going to have, I'd like to think of it almost like a secret clearance pass. Some of the information you're going to be exposed to is pretty confidential. Even if you've lived San Antonio all your life, you're going to find out phenomenal things about our city. But I really believe that you're going to leave empowered to really support your organization. The return on investment is going to be that, you're going to be going back and thinking, where do we fit? Where does my company, the services, or products that we are producing, where do we fit within the bigger scheme of being solutions oriented to help the city move forward? And so I think you're going to leave tremendously inspired, and any employer would love to have an individual who comes back with that level of energy to their organization.
Thank you so much, Robert. That was absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next question with Robert. Robert, what opportunities did LSA make possible for you? And really kind of stepping back and looking at the holistic approach on that, how did LSA guide or change your future trajectory, not just with your career, but also with your personal development?
Can you hear me? Okay, I apologize. I'm still getting used to all of this virtual activity. LSA for me was an incredible experience. My co-chair is Angela McClendon Johnson, and she made sure that our experience was one that we maximized the opportunity presented, and it really is an opportunity. Like Hope Andrade, when I entered into the LSA program, I wavered back and forth, like literally up until the day of the first retreat. Like I was just not going to go, just because I couldn't justify, an entire day out of each month, coupled with, and they were very aggressive. We had other activities, and it was just no way that I could make it make sense. After participating in that opening retreat, there's no way that I could not make this make sense. It exposed me to the inner workings of the city of San Antonio in a way that literally hit at every level, right? So from our poorest zip codes all the way up to the multi-billion-dollar expansion that was taking place, we were fortunate enough, and you are fortunate enough to really get to understand and see the inner workings of the business community, how it interacts with the city leadership, how county influences come into play, and it's literally every aspect of our city. The one thing that I tell candidates when I speak to them is that you are provided a black card, right? This is figuratively, not literally, but you have a San Antonio black card, and that black card gives you access, and this is not exaggerated, to anything in the city. You can literally call upon any organization, private or public, and let them know that you are a member of LSA 46 and that you'd like to learn more about what they do. Not only will you get a great reception, you're going to probably get it with the CEO or with the founder, so that you're able to gain that insight from a personal perspective, and it changes your DNA because now you get to see it from another optic. And I think that was a very eye-opening experience. Like was mentioned earlier by Hope and by Jeff and everybody on here, there's certain things that are going to jump out at you, and they're going to speak to your spirit. I can't tell you what that's going to be. And I don't care that you are the CEO of what business, and man, Ron and Popovich, and everybody knows somebody in LSA. And that's the beauty. So your ego has to be set to a side, because if it became an ego dump, then it's not worth it. But if you're willing to just kind of lay your cards down, then the world is your oyster, and you're going to find things that speak to you that you never thought possible. I end up becoming a mentor at the Juvenile Detention Center for 3 years. There's no way in hell that was something that I set out to do when I first started LSA, but it was an exposure and the understanding that there was a need, and it spoke to me. And so I did that for quite a while. Likewise, the number of boards and just the interactions that you have speak to the next generation of leadership within the city. And so when you look at, pardon my backdrop, but when you look at it from the standpoint of growth and expansion and how important you all are, you become an internal resource for one another for everything. There's certain people I get together just because I think they're hilarious, regardless of station. And there's certain people I get together with and I do business with. I mean, my LSA relationship has elevated not only my appreciation and understanding of what the city of San Antonio is, more importantly, what can it be? And that's the role that we play currently as it relates to LSA. It's not about just learning. It's about you going back into that wheelhouse of all of that experience and laying out what is possible as we move forward as a city. And you can no longer complain. That's the downside. Once you're done with LSA, there's no bitching and complaining because you are a part of the solution. And so you can't sit on the sidelines any longer and complain about what isn't or is being done when you have access to the person that has the ability to get it done. So I can't complain about transportation and how horrible transportation is in the city of San Antonio and blah, 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 blah anymore. Because you just sat on a call with Jeff Arndt, the CEO. He's more than willing to visit with you, understand your concerns, and perhaps you have a solution. But we will never know unless you get activated and you use your black card. And I've coined that, so LSA, you can't use that.
Okay, Robert, I thought I was an LSA cheerleader. You are terrific. I want to sign up and do LSA, even though I've already done it. Thank you all so much. Those were just incredible comments and just awesome insight. Before we move on, actually, I just want to ask each of you to kind of just give your closing thoughts and follow up. Romanita, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure. So I would say your biggest takeaway, you've heard it today, you are going to be a part of a community of people who care. You may have differing approaches on how you want to approach policy, advocacy, et cetera. But in the end, it's about wanting to make a change in San Antonio. To Robert's point, like, and you can't just sit around and complain about it. You have now been empowered and informed to know what are some of the solutions that you can be a part of. So I would say that should be a huge motivating factor. And if it is still about our ROI, well, the ROI is that you're also going to find people who are going to want to invest in you, in your organization. And it's not just financially, but they're going to want to champion your cause, be advocates for your cause, because some of you may represent nonprofits as well. And so it's going to be a relationship of reciprocity. So just don't forget that either, that there comes a great responsibility with the commitment you're going to make. And now that you're better informed and better empowered, is do something to make San Antonio greater.
Thank you, Romanita. Juan, did you have any closing comments?
I want to thank you for having me on this panel. One of my favorite questions for job candidates is, what is your superpower? And, some of them have all sorts of different superpowers, but one thing that you can add to your resume and really to your life skills forever after going through an LSA program is that you'll be a super connector. To Robert Melvin's point, you are now connected, your arm's length from really anybody in the city who's making any sort of change, whether that's positive or negative. And if you want to make any sort of changes, it's not just complaining anymore. It's really, truly having access to anybody for any reason. And if that isn't worth $2,500, I don't know what is. Bring your authentic self. Just be who you are authentically. You don't have to put on, a mask to be part of LSA. I think that's a really, really important thing as you guys come into your interviews, because I know a lot of the people on this call are going to get an interview. I'm confident of it. You've taken the time to be on this call, and I'm confident that you have the skill set to be a part of LSA. Just bring who you truly are, and really speak to those things that aren't necessarily on your resume.
Thank you, Juan. That's really great comments. Angela?
Thank you, Ashley. I would encourage applicants to, again, have a commitment to be involved and engaged. There's so much information that is going to be shared, so much access that you will have with your black card, your LSA black card. And Robert was really on point, because you can call and you say those 3 letters and the doors open. But it's also important to put in to the program what you want to get out. Stay for the day, stay for the reception, stay and make a concerted effort to build relationships with every single classmate, regardless of your differences, what have you, regardless of their CEO and your mid-management, what have you. But it's all about the relationships and building those relationships before class, during class, after class, on the weekends, in the evenings, what have you. But it's really important to be engaged, to be committed to seeing the growth of this city, of this great city, expand. I will tell you that having been involved in 4 classes, of course, LSA 41, the greatest, really the greatest. We digitized the application process. We coined LSA Elevates. Really, it's the greatest class. But there's a healthy competition amongst all of the classes, as you can see. And so for 46, we pray for great things, and feel free to use class 41 as a roadmap. But nonetheless, I have seen great relationships built from friendships that have been forged in LSA. I have seen people who will say, I will never run for politics, become city councilmen and women, become mayors, all because of LSA and what they've been exposed to. So realize what you are applying for, realize what is being required of you, and really hone in on that commitment, that contribution, giving of your time and giving of your talent, because LSA is worth it and you are worth it because of what LSA will give back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela. Robert, did you have any closing thoughts? Hang on, Robert, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now? My only closing thoughts or remarks are centered around exactly what Angela just said, that once you make the commitment, don't half-ass it. It's something that in order for you to really reap the benefit, it's a release. And it's going to be hard. When you start, you're going to come in, your tie is going to be tight, your suit is going to be on point, and you're coming with this wealth of background of everything that you know, and you'll realize it don't matter. It doesn't matter. You're at a table full of the same personalities, right? So eventually, if you are a good leader, how do you navigate the waters with other leaders in a way that is beneficial for your classmates? And it's bigger than you. And then that in and of itself changes the paradigm. Angela was instrumental in my release, because she would make sure I stayed for the events. She made sure I showed up for the socials. And what that did was eventually it's just like, I'm there before she is. Everything drops. And the ability for us is to be open and honest and engaged. It really is the hand behind the city. And to be a part of that is special, but it comes with a great deal of responsibility. You have to be willing to effectuate some form of meaningful change. If not, you're wasting your time. So, that's my conclusion.
Thank you so much, Robert. Great comments as always. And just something I want to add, I had heard about Leadership San Antonio for years, and it was always one of these, yeah, I'll do it, I'll get to it. It's just like having a child. You're never going to be prepared. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to have all your ducks in a row. Just bite the bullet, sign up, do it. And I promise you, it is everything that everyone talks about and quite a bit more. It's just an amazing, and to me, life-changing experience. And I'm so proud of my LSA class and the steering committee I served on and everything I do for LSA. Thank you so much again, Romanita, Juan, Angela, and Robert, for your comments and your thoughts today. I know you motivated and inspired me, and look forward to getting together with all of you guys in the near future. All right, we're going to go ahead and move back over to Anne Marie and to Stacy. And we had some questions that were put in the chat, and I know I've actually received some as well. So Anne Marie and Stacy, can you guys share some of the questions that have been put in the chat?
Thank you, Ashley. Well, thank you, everyone on our panel, our alumni. I don't think I have better cheerleaders than what we just heard. Just before I go to the questions, one thing that Stacy and I wanted to mention is some people may ask is this an in-person program? we are planning on having an in-person program in 2022. We'll adjust with requirements, whether it's testing, double buses, we don't know the details, but it will be an in-person program. We decided to do the session virtually. I hope that everybody's gotten a lot of their questions answered and got motivated to apply, but that was just more, it's the first time we do an info session. We thought it would be easier. We now are more used to Zoom, everybody else but Robert. And, but we are planning on an in-person. There's one question, it's very technical, so I'll just really, it reads from Hillary, says, can you, the time commitment, one full class every month from January, and when is retreat? Just all the dates, the specific dates are on leadershipsa.org. Opening retreat is in January, closing retreat is in October. Somebody said 12 days. Well, it's 8 class days. It's actually going to be 7 class days. July will be an off month if you want to plan a summer vacation. But it is January through October where the commitment is. The full days is once a month, every first Wednesday of the month. I think in February it's a different date, but we do expect an 8 to 5 day. And you will also be meeting with the committee. As Hope had mentioned, you know, with a committee, you put on a day, those are more flexible, your committee, and you will figure it out. Those, they tend to work out really good on Zoom and phone calls, etc. Stacy, there's a question from Christopher. It says, San Antonio has continued to grow by leaps and bounds for decades. How has LSA and its alumni group seen changes in its focus and outreach over time?
Yeah, to answer that question, I think it goes back to, you know, probably since the beginning, the focus has been on impact. You want to have impact. And as Anne-Marie and I were talking about, at least what we want for this year, if you really want enduring impact, you have to start with problem awareness. You have to know where the challenges are. And so our focus for this year is to not do wide and shallow, but kind of narrow and deep. You know, you want people to end with this, what do you feel a responsibility to? It's just like everybody was saying, that there is a thing that you have discovered about San Antonio that you did not know about, and you cannot not do anything about it. You, whether it's your purpose, your calling, your awakening, whatever that is, what your hope is that you have started with conversations to at least really truly understand what is the problem. So for example, education. What is the state of education in San Antonio? How did it get this way? And does this way of being allow for all of our citizens to thrive? And if the answer is, do you want it to stay this way? If the answer is no, then what do you feel a responsibility to? And so that's just our approach, is to really, you know, you have to have problem awareness, but honestly, like, problem awareness is not even enough. You have to connect. It was like Hope was saying when she looked into the child's eyes at Avance. I served on the board of Avance. I love Avance. But you connect to the lives that are impacted in a way that it's not just, you know, this idea of a thriving, prosperous city, but what all community members deserve. And so I think that's kind of the thing that we have seen. Impact is the common thread throughout. I think our hope for this year is to bring together people who come from all over the city, from all walks of life, to have conversations, real conversations, who are curious and compassionate and can come together to really try to find solutions that will endure.
Thank you, Stacy. You were so, I mean, it's very inspiring every time Stacy talks. I love Stacy. I'm so, we look very different, but we're very alike and very aligned. There's one question from Cami. I love it. She's getting like, she's ready to submit the application, I think. How many letters of recommendation, minimum and maximum? Can you describe what else is required to be uploaded as part of the application? Minimum 2 letters of recommendation. You have to upload either have your employer sign off, and if not, you can download a PDF that your employer signs off that approves your commitment to it or your time commitment. If you don't have an employer, you're self-employed, you can sign it off for yourself. We have here on the chat is Laurie Stinson from the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce and Emma Hernandez from the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Both their emails and phone numbers are on the website. Reach out to them for any technical questions, issues, anything to do with the application. It is fully digital. So that, yes, exactly. Thank you, Angela. Yes, we have moved to the futuristic, and everything is on leadershiplsa.org, which is a website specially dedicated to LSA. Stacy, can you touch on the cost and maybe like a little bit, like some people have had questions. Somebody said 2,500 is 2,250.
Yeah, that was a question that came up recently regarding the cost. And, you know, this program does have more fixed costs associated with the overnight retreats. They are held usually within the city, San Antonio, Bexar County. And again, to support businesses in our community, that's really and something that's very important for this program. And then also, especially with COVID, we're taking 2 buses places throughout the city. And so there's some costs associated with that. And that's kind of the reason for the cost of $2,250.
I think that's it for questions, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you guys so very much again. And I just want to take a moment and thank all of our panelists. I want to thank Hope and Jeff. I want to thank Angela McClendon Johnson and Robert Melvin. And Robert, don't let Anne-Marie give you crap about that mute button. We've all been there. And I want to thank Juan and Romanita as well. And then, of course, I want to thank the chambers for their incredible support over the years for Leadership San Antonio. Without them, we would not have these programs. So huge thanks to the chamber presidents, Richard Perez and Marina. I think the world of this program. And like I said, this wouldn't be possible without them. If you have any questions, as Anne-Marie said, please visit leadershipsa.org. The application deadline is October 18th, and that is hard and fast. Don't be like me and sneaking that thing in at 4:59 p.m. because I promise you, don't stress yourself out that way. Just get it done and get it early. Thank you all again to all of our panelists. Thank you to Andrew Gorman behind the scenes for running the show. And thank you to the chambers. And we look forward to seeing you in LSA Class 46. So thank you all. And you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.